$2,000 per month still works in a few American cities, but only if the rent stays low, and only if transportation does not quietly eat the rest of the budget. That is the part most cheapest city lists skip. They show you low rent. They do not always show you the real monthly pressure after groceries, utilities, transportation, and basic bills. So this is not a fantasy list. This is a $2,000 per month stress test. We are looking at 10 low-cost U.S. cities, then separating the ones where the math actually works from the ones that only look cheap on paper. Here is the rule. For this video, $2,000 per month means the basics have a chance to fit. Rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, basic monthly bills. Not luxury living. Not a perfect lifestyle. And definitely not a huge safety cushion. The question is simple. After rent is paid, does the budget still have room to breathe? That is the test. Let's move quickly through numbers 10 to 6. Number 10, Montgomery, Alabama. Median rent is around $1,006 per month. That gives the $2,000 budget a real chance on paper. But here is the catch. Montgomery is not a city where rent alone should make the decision. The local job market, the neighborhood, and transportation matter just as much as the rent number. Cheap rent helps. But cheap rent does not solve the whole move. Number 9, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Median rent is around $911 per month. Living cost puts a full one-person monthly budget with rent included around $1,752. That is one of the strongest numbers on this list. This is where the $2,000 test starts to look realistic. The trade-off is simple. You are not getting a big city lifestyle. You are getting lower monthly pressure. And for some people, that is exactly the point. Number 8, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Median rent is around $948 per month. Living cost puts the basic monthly total near $1,902. So yes, Tulsa can fit inside the $2,000 line. But here is where the math gets tighter. True cost living puts a more comfortable version of Tulsa closer to $2,686 per month. That means Tulsa works if you stay disciplined. It gets harder if you want more comfort, more driving, more dining out, or more cushion. Number 7, Memphis, Tennessee. Median rent is around $1,067 per month. That is still low enough to give the rest of the budget a chance. But this is one of those cities where the address matters a lot. This video is not making safety claims one way or the other. You need to research neighborhoods yourself before signing anything. The rent number may work. The actual block you live on still matters. Number 6, Lubbock, Texas. Median rent is around $1,080 per month. That still fits the test, at least on paper. But this is not just about rent. Lubbock comes with the usual trade-offs of a cheaper, spread-out city. Heat, driving, and smaller city lifestyle all matter. If you need a car for everything, the $2,000 budget gets tighter fast. Now we get into the top 5. And this is important. These are ranked by cost and rent math. Not overall quality of life. Not job market strength in your exact field. Not whether you personally would enjoy living there. Just the $2,000 per month test. Number 5, Wichita, Kansas. Median rent lands around $912 per month. Wise cost of living data puts a one-bedroom near the city center closer to $993. Living cost puts a full one-person budget with rent included around $1,820 per month. That leaves actual room inside a $2,000 budget. Not a lot of room, but real room. And Wichita has something else going for it. The income side looks healthier than some other low-cost cities. Median income is around $63,072. The estimated salary needed to live there is about $36,480. That gap matters. Because cheap rent is good. But cheap rent with decent income is better. The catch is transportation. For most households, you should still assume a car is part of the budget. Ignore that and the $2,000 test gets weaker fast. Number 4, St. Louis, Missouri. Median rent is around $929 per month. The estimated salary needed to live there is about $37,160. That sits well below the city's median income of about $55,279. That is a good sign. Latest cost breaks down a basic one-bedroom budget at around $1,630 per month. That includes $1,100 for rent, $180 for utilities, $260 for groceries and $90 for transit. That version fits inside $2,000 with room to spare. But here's the part people miss. Living cost gives a broader estimate closer to $2,115 for a full one-person budget. So St. Louis depends heavily on where you land and how you live. The rent math is strong, but the neighborhood decision matters a lot. This is not a city where you should choose an apartment blindly because the average looks good. Number 3, Brownsville, Texas. Median rent is just $854 per month. That is one of the lowest rent numbers on this entire list. The estimated salary needed to live there is around $34,160. Median income is around $51,300. Makes $2,000 per month look very possible. This is one of the cleanest rent wins in the ranking. But there is a trade-off. Brownsville is a smaller labor market than many cities on this list. So the rent number can look great, but your career field still has to work there. Also, South Texas heat and car dependency can push the real monthly number higher. So Brownsville is strong on rent. But it is not a free pass. Number 2, Cleveland, Ohio. This one is tricky. City affordability lists median rent around $1,406 per month. The estimated salary to live there is around $56,240. That rent number is higher than many cities on this list. But other sources show a wide range. Wealthview estimates total monthly expenses around $2,225 for a single person, with average rent closer to $1,100 in that model. Wise shows a city center one-bedroom closer to $1,611. That is a big spread. And that is exactly why Cleveland is a caution case. It can look cheap in broad rankings. But your actual neighborhood and rent choice can push the budget above $2,000 very quickly. If your rent is close to $1,100, the math has a chance. If your rent is closer to $1,600, the $2,000 budget is under pressure immediately. That is the difference between possible and stressful. Number 1, Detroit, Michigan. Median rent comes in around $983 per month. The estimated salary needed to live there is around $39,300. The city's median income is around $39,575. So on pure rent math, Detroit lands at the top. But listen carefully. This is not a hidden gem story. That income number is tight. It is almost flat with the estimated cost to live. That means there is not much margin for error. And neighborhood quality varies heavily across the city. Detroit is a place where the spreadsheet can say yes, but the actual zip code can change your day-to-day life completely. So yes, Detroit is extremely strong on rent. But it is also one of the cities where you need to be the most careful. Now let's stop pretending the cheapest city is always the best city. Because that is not how real budgets work. Here is the practical breakdown. Best pure rent math: Brownsville, Fort Wayne, Detroit, St. Louis, and Wichita. Those are the places where rent gives the $2,000 budget the most room to survive. Best income versus cost balance: Fort Wayne, Wichita, Tulsa, and St. Louis. Those cities do not just have low costs. They also have better income gaps compared with the estimated salary needed to live there. That matters more than people think. Because low rent helps you start. But income is what keeps the move stable. Biggest caution cities: Cleveland and Detroit. Not because they are bad cities. Because the averages hide a lot. In Cleveland, the rent range can swing hard depending on the source and neighborhood. In Detroit, the median income sits almost exactly at the estimated cost to live. That leaves very little cushion. And that is the real lesson here. Low cost of living and easy cost of living are not the same thing. So here is the honest verdict. $2,000 per month is still possible in a handful of U.S. cities in 2026. But only under specific conditions. Rent needs to stay under roughly $1,000 to $1,100 per month. Once rent climbs above $1,300, the math gets tight fast. And if the city requires a car, that cost has to be in the budget from day one. Gas, insurance, maintenance, repairs, registration, and parking do not care that the rent look cheap. If your real life includes healthcare premiums, debt payments, childcare, or aggressive savings, $2,000 may simply not be enough. No matter which city you pick. So this is not a list of perfect places. It is a list of places where the basics still have a chance to fit inside a real, unglamorous budget. The winner for you depends on your rent, your job, your transportation, and how much cushion you actually need. If this kind of real monthly math helps you avoid a bad move, subscribe before you sign a lease anywhere on this list. And drop the city you want tested next in the comments.